Men who don't post their photos on social media aren't invisible. They're unshakable. You scroll, compare, chase validation while they build real life. Have you ever felt exposed by posting a selfie just to feel empty inside afterward? Imagine your confidence coming from decisions you make offline, not likes. Ask yourself, are you showing your life or selling it? Many men who refuse to post photos have something deeper, self-respect that outclasses approval. You're about to see why that matters more than you think. Comment untouchable if you're ready to redefine your status. Number 1, they don't seek approval. They walk into a room and don't look around to see who's watching. They're not performing, they're present. And that presence comes from knowing they don't owe anyone an update on their lives, their progress, or their identity, because every move they make is rooted in internal standards that don't shift based on external applause. And when you observe men like this, you'll notice they're not loud, not reactive, and never chasing eyes. They've already seen what the chase does. It hollows you out, makes you second-guess yourself, forces you to present edited versions of your reality in return for temporary reactions from people whose opinions do not fund your future. And what's worse is that most men never realize this until they burn out from trying to impress the world instead of building a world worth living in. And so the man who doesn't seek approval doesn't do it because he's better. He does it because he's done with being a product for the feed, done with modifying his message so it's acceptable to people who wouldn't care if he disappeared tomorrow, done with pretending that likes mean love and views mean value, because he's seen where that path leads and it's always the same. More scrolling, less soul, more validation, less vision. And if you've ever posted something hoping someone in particular would see it, someone you dated, someone you miss, someone who overlooked you, you already know how empty that feels when the attention doesn't land the way you hoped. And that's the trap, because the moment your worth depends on how someone responds to your image. You've given away the power to define yourself. But men who stop seeking approval have made a choice most won't dare to make. They live by an internal code, one that isn't shaken by silence, one that isn't moved by absence, one that's carved in self-discipline. And that code tells them that their time is too valuable to spend asking strangers to validate them, that their face doesn't need to be marketed to feel meaningful, and that every second spent proving who they are is a second lost becoming who they're meant to be. And so they measure their worth in the weight of their actions, the quality of their decisions, and the consistency of their direction, not in the attention they gather, not in the reactions they provoke, and definitely not in the digital footprint they leave behind. Because when a man reaches the level where he no longer posts to be seen, but instead creates to be effective, you'll find he's finally become the kind of man whose worth is felt in silence, and whose presence is remembered long after his profile is forgotten. And if you want to become that man, start with this. Stop giving people access to your value when they've never earned your effort. Stop explaining your moves just so you can be understood by people who haven't earned the right to influence your direction, and start setting internal metrics that no app can measure. Read more and post less. Plan more and perform less. Evaluate your actions by the strength of their impact, not the speed of their visibility. And if you're struggling to let go of that craving to be seen, recognize that it's not you craving attention. It's a void trying to feel significant, and that void will only deepen the more you feed it with shallow approval. And so you replace that with something solid. Keep a journal instead of a feed. Track your progress in notebooks instead of photos. Ask yourself if your next move brings you closer to peace or closer to performance. And above all, understand this. Approval feels good, but it weakens you if you rely on it, because true confidence isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself with selfies or status updates. It shows up in consistency, in resilience, in the kind of decisions that nobody sees but everybody eventually feels. And when you begin to operate from that level of inner certainty, You won't need anyone to tell you you're doing well, because your life will already be showing it. And the only applause you'll care about is the silent kind, the kind you feel when you know you stayed true to your values when no one was watching, and in that moment, you become free. Not from the world, but from the need to be noticed by it. And that's when everything changes, because when you no longer need approval, every move becomes intentional, every choice becomes aligned, and every day becomes a chance to lead yourself instead of performing for people who were never watching, with the intention to understand you anyway. And that's not rejection, that's liberation. And if you can feel the truth of this in your chest right now, you already know what needs to be done. Turn the camera off, close the app, and go become the man they'll never forget, even if they never see you. Post again. And when you begin to operate from that level of inner certainty, you won't need anyone to tell you you're doing well, because your life will already be showing it. And the only applause you'll care about is the silent kind, the kind you feel when you know you stayed true to your values when no one was watching, and in that moment you become free, not from the world, but from the need to be noticed by it. And that's where the Stoic Relationship Blueprint audiobook becomes your next step forward. Because if this message resonates with you, then you already know that real power starts with mastering yourself first. And this book is built on timeless Stoic principles that cut through noise, confusion, and distraction to bring you back to who you were meant to be, not for show, but for substance. And now that it's available in audiobook form, you can absorb this life-changing wisdom while you walk, train, focus, or just breathe in silence, letting every line work through your thoughts and sharpen your direction. And the best part is, it's yours forever. No expiry, no noise, no catch, just straight clarity and perspective. You can revisit whenever life tries to distract you again, so check the comments, lock in your copy, and start listening, because this knowledge is no longer hidden, and you won't need to look for answers outside yourself ever again. Number 2, they protect their peace. They're not quiet because they've got nothing to say. They're quiet because they know exactly what's worth saying and who's worth saying it to, and most of the time, it's no one, because they've already realized that peace isn't something you're given, it's something you guard. And if you don't, the world will rip it from your hands and replace it with noise, expectations, performance, comparison, and a constant low-grade anxiety that creeps in the second you feel like you're not being seen enough, liked enough, praised enough, because that's what happens when you make your inner world public property. It becomes a marketplace, and everyone who doesn't pay a price for access feels entitled to judge. And this is where most men break without even knowing they're broken, by giving daily pieces of themselves to people they don't know and hoping the likes make them feel less invisible. But the man who protects his peace knows better, because he's tried the other way and felt the emptiness that comes from shouting into a digital crowd just to feel significant for a moment and forgotten in the next. And now he lives different. He doesn't wake up needing to share. He wakes up needing to build, because his life is not about proving, it's about producing, and that requires mental silence, internal space, clarity of mind, not endless comments or recycled dopamine from recycled validation. And you can feel this too, can't you? The mental fatigue that hits when you've spent more time thinking about how you look than how you live. The creeping resentment you feel when you watch someone else get more attention for less effort. The weight that settles in your chest when you realize your phone owns your time and your mind isn't yours anymore. And the man who protects his peace sees that trap for what it is and backs out of it, not because he's weak, but because he's seen that no peace ever comes from playing games you can't win. And so he simplifies, deletes apps, unfollows people who drain him, and focuses. Not because he's antisocial, but because he's focused on becoming so solid within himself that no one's opinion can break him, because he knows that the quieter the room inside his head, the louder his progress gets outside it. And that's the goal. Not to be seen, not to be celebrated, not to be understood, but to be grounded, rooted in discipline, clarity, and calm that isn't shaken by anyone's reaction. Because once you have peace, you realize it's more valuable than popularity. And it's not that hard to start. It's just hard to stay there. Start with simple acts. Turn your phone off for the first hour of the day and take that time to think about your mission, not someone else's life. Write down what you actually want to achieve in 30 days and track it with a pen, not a post. Take long walks with no headphones and ask yourself questions that matter. Am I building the man I say I want to be, or just pretending to be him online? And if you can't answer that, it's because your mind is too loud with things that don't belong to you. And until you clear it out, you'll never hear yourself again. And this is why protecting your peace isn't optional. It's survival, it's strategy, it's the quiet discipline of rejecting what drains you and choosing what builds you. And if that means being misunderstood, unseen, or even ignored, then so be it. Because a man who values his peace doesn't need to explain his silence. And if you want to know where to begin, it's right here. Every time you feel the urge to post, ask yourself if it's because you need to share or because you want to be noticed. And if the answer is the second, hold back, choose stillness. Let that energy push you into action, not performance. And as that habit strengthens, you'll begin to feel the difference between being productive and being visible. And you'll understand what these men already know, that the real flex isn't how many people see you, it's how few people can reach you, because the fewer the voices you allow in, the clearer your direction becomes. And one day you'll look up and realize that your peace wasn't taken, it was given away. And from that day forward, you'll stop giving it away for free, because it's the most expensive thing you own. And once you own it fully, no post, no photo, and no person will ever be worth losing it again. Number 3, they focus on growth. You've been tricked into thinking that growth should be glamorous, that every step you take forward should be documented, shared, praised. But the men who are really leveling up know that the deepest growth happens when nobody sees it, when the room is silent, when the notifications stop, when the distractions fade and you're left alone with your truth. And they know that those moments, those ordinary, quiet, gritty, daily acts of discipline are where life actually changes, because real growth isn't something you can fake. And the truth is, if you have to prove you're working on yourself, you're not doing the work hard enough. Because when you're locked into your mission, when your goals are bigger than your ego, you don't have time to perform for anyone. And this is what separates the men who rise from the ones who stay stuck in cycles of failure, masked as effort. Because most people are busy trying to look like they're improving instead of actually changing. And it's costing them their future, their relationships, their self-respect. Because they're so focused on perception that they never build anything real. And deep down, they know it. They feel it when they post and hope someone notices. When they talk about hustling but haven't followed through on a single promise they made to themselves in private. When they make a to-do list and never touch it again. Because the truth is, growth is boring to anyone who isn't serious. And that's why most men avoid it. It doesn't give you the fast feedback your ego craves. But that's exactly why it works. Because the more invisible your work is today, the more undeniable your results are tomorrow. And that's what these men live for. They're not thinking about looking successful. They're thinking about becoming so capable that nothing can shake them, so skilled that they never fear losing, so grounded that the world could spin backwards and they'd still wake up early, still execute, still focus. And while everyone else is chasing aesthetics and attention, they're busy stacking wins in silence, not for claps, but for capability. And you need to start asking yourself real questions. How many days have I wasted pretending I'm on my purpose when I haven't even built the habits that protect it? How often do I confuse busyness with progress? How long have I been stuck talking instead of building? And if that hits you, good. It means your mind still recognizes the truth, and it means you're ready to step into a new level of accountability, because growth isn't just about results, it's about the man you become while chasing them. And if you're distracted by noise, you'll never find your own voice, and that's exactly what's been stolen from you. Your voice, your edge, your fire. Not because someone took it, but because you gave it up for ease, for comfort, for applause. And the men who rise stop doing that. They reclaim it through discomfort, through repetition, through honesty, through discipline, through late nights with no one clapping and early mornings with no one watching. And the truth is, if you're not growing, you're dying. And most people are dying in disguise, decaying slowly behind selfies and reels and pointless scrolling, and these men refuse that fate. They train their minds like athletes train their bodies. They create systems to keep themselves accountable when motivation fades. They don't rely on hype. They rely on structure, on brutal self-review, on planning every single hour like their life depends on it. Because it does. And if you're stuck right now, if you feel like you're floating, it's because you're lacking purpose. And purpose doesn't come from a breakthrough. It comes from building. And building means doing the work even when you're invisible, even when no one congratulates you, even when it feels like nothing's changing, because that's where real change begins. In the days you want to quit, but you stay locked in anyway, and you can start today. Make a list of the things that are actually holding you back, not excuses, but real things. Laziness, weakness, distractions, people who drain you, apps that own your time, fears you haven't confronted. Write it all down and commit to attacking one every single week. And don't post about it, don't announce it, just do it, and do it again and again until you look up and realize you've become someone so focused, so driven, so sharp, that people start asking what changed, and you won't even answer, because by then you'll know the answer is simple. You stopped chasing attention and started building a life. Number 4, they value themselves. They stop handing out their presence like it's free because they've finally realized their time, energy, and attention are the most valuable currencies they own. And unlike what they were taught, these things don't renew automatically. They diminish every time they give pieces of themselves to people who haven't earned it. And this understanding doesn't come from reading or watching videos. It comes from pain, from watching themselves shrink in relationships where they were constantly trying to prove they were enough, trying to maintain attention that shouldn't have been so hard to keep if it were real, from constantly over-explaining their intent to people who didn't deserve their effort, and eventually they snap. Not outwardly, but inwardly, they just stop, not because they gave up, but because they finally see the game for what it is, a loop where most men give their time, body, face, attention, love, and identity for a temporary sense of being needed. And these men choose out. They disconnect from the constant need to be seen because they've seen what that costs: dignity, clarity, and peace. And instead of arguing with people about their worth, they remove themselves from the conversation completely. And that's power. The kind of power that doesn't yell. It moves, it withdraws, it disciplines. And these men start operating from a place most people can't understand because it's so unfamiliar. They no longer seek to be liked, they seek to be aligned. And if you've ever felt like you were becoming someone else just to hold on to someone who wasn't even sure about you, you already know this path is mandatory, not optional, because you cannot value yourself and beg for validation at the same time. And what these men have done is internalize this truth at the core of their identity, that the world is not going to value what you keep giving away for free. And that includes your face, your story, your wins, your time, your energy, and your emotional availability. Because when you post your entire life hoping for affirmation, what you're really doing is outsourcing your self-worth. And that's dangerous, because you're now at the mercy of reactions that were never yours to control. And this is where they draw the line. When they realize their face doesn't need an audience to be valuable, their progress doesn't need a public platform to be legitimate, And their energy doesn't need to be validated to be powerful, because when a man begins to understand his value, he becomes more selective, less available, and more intentional with every word, every move, and every connection. And women feel it too, when he's no longer performing for them, when he's no longer trying to impress, when his actions come from truth and not from tactics. And this shift threatens the dynamics they use to control, which is why most will say he's emotionally unavailable or cold. But he isn't. He's just unavailable to manipulation, to performative affection, to baiting games meant to control his focus. And that's exactly why he becomes more attractive, more intimidating, and more unshakable. Not because he's trying to be, but because he no longer puts himself in situations where his value is up for negotiation. And that's what you must learn too. Your value isn't defined by attention, it's defined by standards, by what you accept, by what you tolerate, by how much of yourself you give to situations that give nothing back. And you'll never be able to build anything real until you stop negotiating your worth with people who don't even know their own. And the first step is to reclaim your time. Audit where your energy goes, how many hours you give to people who drain you, how much space you give to conversations that go nowhere, to platforms that use your addiction as profit. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. And when that happens, you start acting different. You stop being constantly available. You become unpredictable in your focus, steady in your mission, and calm in your execution, because now you understand. People who truly value you won't need to be convinced, and people who don't will never get enough of you to disrespect you again, and you make this your new way of living. Not with anger, not with resentment, but with calm, detached clarity. And that is what separates you from every other man still stuck in the loop of needing to be validated to feel valuable. Because the second you choose to move in self-worth instead of self-promotion, you walk into every room knowing your value isn't in your image. It's in your integrity, your consistency, and your refusal to beg for what you were born to embody. And from that point on, your life starts changing. Not because the world treats you better, but because you treat yourself like you're finally done apologizing for taking up space, for having standards, for moving on, and most of all, for valuing yourself enough to walk away from anything that tries to cheapen your worth. Number 5. They choose who sees them. They no longer give everyone access because they've learned the hard way that exposure without discernment is self-destruction. And the truth is, most men have never been taught to protect themselves at that level. They're told to be open, expressive, transparent. But the reality is that openness without purpose turns into leakage, and what leaks gets wasted, and what's wasted eventually leads to resentment, especially when you start realizing you've been showing up for people who never showed up for you, giving your face, your time, your attention to people who only wanted a version of you they could control. And when you finally stop, when you pull back and become intentional about who gets access to you, everything changes. Your peace returns, your standards rise, your presence sharpens, and suddenly you start seeing people's true colors, not when they show up, but when they realize you're no longer available for their entertainment. And that shift, that emotional and energetic shift, is what separates men who own their lives from men who are owned by the need to be seen, because most of what's called connection today is just convenience wrapped in performance. People showing you attention when it benefits them and vanishing the second you stop dancing for their validation. And the men who rise above this dynamic do so not by arguing, but by disengaging, by building such a strong sense of inner certainty that they can look someone in the eye without explaining why they've gone quiet, why they've become selective, why they no longer share every win, every thought, every photo. Because once you've been drained by people who only noticed you when you were visible, you learn the value of strategic invisibility, not as a reaction, but as a philosophy. And it starts simple, by asking yourself, who in your life actually earns the right to see your progress, to be part of your inner world, to know what you're building when no one's clapping. And most men won't ask that because they're too afraid of the answer. Because the moment you ask it, you'll realize how many people you're only close to out of habit. How many followers you keep around just to feel important. How much of your energy goes into maintaining a version of yourself that no longer represents who you're becoming. And when that realization hits, if you're strong enough to sit with it, it will unlock a level of clarity most people never reach. Because now you're choosing your circle based on alignment, not attention. And that's when you begin to see that real power isn't loud. It's measured in who gets access, and you start moving different. You stop replying instantly. You stop explaining your vision to people who have none. You stop showing your hand to people who fold at the first sign of difficulty, and it's not arrogance. It's protection. It's discipline. It's knowing that when everyone can see you, anyone can influence you, and that means you're never really free until you become invisible to the wrong people. And that doesn't mean isolation. It means filtration. It means you vet people by how they treat your boundaries, by how they respond to your silence, by how they handle not being included in every update. And the men who master this live better, not because they have more, but because they carry less noise, less distraction, less energy leaks. And what they carry is precise, powerful, intentional. Because when you choose who sees you, you stop performing. And when you stop performing, you start living fully, with weight, with presence, with focus. And from that space, you become sharper than you've ever been. Because now your moves are silent but strategic. Your growth is private but undeniable. And your standards are so high that most won't even know what you're building until it's already built. And by then it's too late to fake support, too late to circle back, because the access they once took for granted is gone, replaced by a version of you they can't reach, not because you vanished, but because you evolved, and that evolution made you inaccessible, not in ego, but in essence. Because when a man stops offering himself to everyone, he starts becoming someone no one can manipulate. And that's the kind of man the world remembers, not because he shouted, but because he chose to show up only when it mattered. And that's how you reclaim control over your presence, your energy, your identity, not by hiding, but by choosing, with discipline, with intent, with unshakable clarity about who gets to witness the life you're building. And when you live that way, every yes has weight, every no has strength, and every relationship becomes a reflection of your standards, not your loneliness. And that's when you know you've really arrived, not just in life, but in yourself. They told you to chase love, to show your soft side, to be more emotional, more available, more vulnerable, but they never told you the price, your peace, your power, your purpose. And now you're here, waking up to a truth most men never see until it's too late. If you're done playing a role in a game designed to keep you weak, distracted, and lost in loops that steal years from your life, then the Stoic relationship blueprint is your way out. This isn't just a book. It's the clarity you've been denied, the mindset they hoped you'd never adopt. Because once you own this knowledge, you stop being easy to manipulate. It's filled with timeless Stoic principles that will transform your life instantly. And now it's in audiobook form, so you can listen while walking, training, or cutting through the noise around you. It's linked in the comments below. If you're truly ready to take control, comment, "I choose clarity," like this video, and subscribe to help more men escape the trap before it's too late.